All right. So next subject, the comprehensive versus individual courses.
Right. So again, the original board proposals spoke really only to comprehensive courses, and that is before the board first got involved with the waivers of 50% of the charter schools. And we started thinking about supplemental courses, and COSA and OSBA went so far in their testimony, they can't be here today, we're conflicting with the COSA conference over on the coast. But they had recommended that if the board were going to approve comprehensive schools, that it would be under the circumstances where those entities would also offer supplemental courses. You know, sign up for a math class or the full meal deal, if you will. And that was their suggestion. They didn't, I don't think they said that that was, they'd fall on their sword over that, but they recommended that as an idea. I think when we started talking about the supplemental courses down in the work group, it brought in a lot of other governance issues, and we thought, maybe that might be biting off more than we can chew. I think we heard from the providers that instead of approving providers, we should approve programs, so that suggests individual courses. I'm not sure we have the staff right now to approve individual courses. We heard from Sager saying maybe we shouldn't go there, so you were here to hear all of that. So I would just leave it open to your discussion. What do you think about?
And the question is James here? Is James? Oh, there you are. The question I had for you on this one is, do you see it, if for you to implement, you're working on implementing this, what do you need? What I was trying to understand is, do you need policy change for you to, I mean, you've got a structure that seems like it works. I'm trying to understand what you might need out of legislature or board policy to make what you're doing possible.
As far as we can tell, we don't need any change. Again, this is simply a consortium that happens to be a statewide consortium instead of between two districts. And because the districts have the control as to whether or not the student takes a class or not, that it's appropriate or not, that doesn't need any requirement. And because the material that is being used comes from the library of the Oregon Virtual School District, it's been approved by the state of Oregon, it's being taught by Oregon teachers, we don't see anything different than what we already are jointly responsible for between school districts to meet the needs of kids.
Right, okay, so obviously it means you will have to get the student in whatever district you're serving, the district's going to need to agree that the student can take the class, and there's going to be a charge and all of that that you have to work out. That's right, the district. Nikki?
I'm just wondering, having read that proposal, there were a couple of things in there that made me wonder if it might interfere with some single course or partial programs that districts are already using. For example, there was some language in there about if a course required adult supervision, it might not be okay for elementary kids to have it. And I know there are some particularly smaller districts that are using Stanford's EPGY for their TAG programs. There are a lot of things going on in this arena already. So is it your intention that this would somehow supplant anything else that's already going on out there, and would that become a problem?
No, is the easy part of the answer. The difficult nature was that, once again, we weren't sure, as we were involved with this conversation, at what point something less than full-time was included in the conversation and what wasn't. So currently, school districts, whether it's Johns Hopkins or BYU, or, I mean, there are all sorts of programs where a district, again, decides, I want my student to take this class. And that's their right and responsibility to do that. This is simply, again, a statewide consortium, really being the facilitator of these options for the districts, as opposed to an entity that there's no either gain for a district nor is there a profit for the entity. It's simply facilitated.
Okay. So I think we should, I would recommend that we speak to this in the report. We should raise the whole issue of supplemental individual courses in our paper, say that's not the scope, and comment on the activity and try to frame this a bit. But I guess the questions that obviously could ultimately arise is, should districts be required to offer these courses to their students, under what conditions? All set of issues that you can imagine if we got into it. I think for right now, we just let the sea ball. It sounds like you're proceeding, is what you're saying, and so we'll have yet another option available. And again, I think what the argument for this is that you'll have an array of courses and faculty from around the state available, and that could be a nice way for districts to sort through options for their students, is what you're really saying. So I guess, again, I think I was the one that thought we could expand the report into this field, and I quickly concluded that wasn't a good idea. So I think, Leslie, did you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So that would be my recommendation. Disagreement on that. Okay, thanks.